Have you ever been helped by someone you didn't even know was helping you? Sometimes kindness wraps around us so quietly, we don't even notice until later, but warmth has a way of lingering. Hi, I'm Luna, and I'm really glad you're here today. This is your Slow Down Sunday, a space for soft stories, stillness, and just a little bit of heart. Before we begin, let's take a breath together. Inhale and exhale. That's better. Today's story is about a scarf, but also about noticing and how one quiet act can travel a very long way. It was one of those mornings where the air felt sharp, not stormy, not wild, just still. Still and cold in a way that seeps into your sleeves even if you're bundled up. You could see little clouds puffing from people's mouths as they passed. Most were rushing, some on phones, some holding paper cups too hot to sip, heads down, steps fast, as if they could outrun the chill. But on one wooden bench near a bookstore that always smelled like cinnamon, a boy sat alone. He didn't look lost, but he didn't look like he belonged to the pace of the morning either. He had a backpack beside him, one strap broken, shoes untied, and a hoodie, too thin for the cold. His fingers were curled deep inside his sleeves, but his hands were red, and he didn't move. A few people glanced, most didn't. They kept walking. But then, an older woman passed. She had the kind of walk that said she wasn't in a hurry, not because she had nowhere to be, but because she had learned how to move slowly, on purpose. She wore a deep green coat, the kind with real buttons and soft lining, and wrapped around her neck was a scarf, not fancy, not new, but clearly loved. You could tell by the way it was folded, the way she adjusted it gently, like an old friend. When she saw the boy, she paused, only for a moment, and then, without a word, she unwrapped her scarf. It slipped loose with that whispery sound wool makes when it brushes against itself. She didn't hand it to him, didn't ask anything. She just placed it on the bench beside him, folded once just so, and walked on. The boy blinked, looked up, but she was already gone. Just the faint sound of her steps fading around the corner. He stared at the scarf, then at the empty space beside him, and then, slowly, he picked it up. It was warm, still holding a trace of her body heat. It smelled faintly of lavender, or maybe cinnamon, or maybe that was the air. He held it for a while before putting it on. It was too big. It wrapped twice around his neck and still dipped low onto his chest. But it was soft, and it was warm, and somehow it felt like it had been waiting for him. From that day on, he wore it every morning. Sometimes people asked about it, where he got it, why it was so long. He just smiled. He never saw the woman again, didn't know her name, but her kindness was stitched into that scarf, as clearly as if she had sewn her care into every thread. Years passed. He grew. The backpack changed. The hoodie was replaced by jackets. But the scarf stayed. It got a small tear at the end, and the color faded a little, but he kept wearing it. Even when others might have chosen something new, it had become something else to him, a reminder, maybe, of something simple and good. One late afternoon, he found himself walking through the same park. It had been a long day, one of those where the noise of the world sticks to your shoulders, and as he passed that same bench, he saw a girl, small, curled up in her coat, hands shoved deep into the pockets. But the wind still found her. Her legs were swinging off the edge, and she kept sniffling in that quiet way people do when they're trying not to cry. He stopped, just for a moment, and then, without thinking, he unwrapped the scarf from around his neck, crossed the path, placed it on the bench beside her, just like someone once had for him. She looked up, startled. eyes wide, but he didn't say anything. He just smiled, then turned and walked on. The scarf had come full circle, and he didn't need it to come back, because something about giving it away felt just as warm as receiving it once had. I think about that a lot, how kindness moves, not loudly, not always quickly, but steadily. Sometimes we hold something long enough to give it a story, and then we pass it on, not to be remembered, but to make someone else feel a little bit less alone. If someone's ever done that for you, quietly, without needing thanks, maybe you still carry it, and maybe someday you'll get to be the one who wraps warmth around someone else. Thanks for sitting with me. I hope this story brought a little warmth to your day. Whenever you're ready for another one, I'll be right here. Until then, stay gentle, and maybe carry an extra scarf, just in case. Bye for now.